Alrighty. Well, we got a lot of stuff. Got a lot of Necrons. Got some tombs put in. See, these guys are not going to be stuck, but they are my skeletons from my spooky diorama. I have a lot of props that I've made or painted. Did some more work on this guy. Really textured him up with some astro granite. Then lent itself very nicely to dry brushing, a bit of a wash. I did a mix of like black and umber on the wash, sort of get all in those nooks and crannies, and then I dry brushed it with a mix of nurgling green and Xandri dust. It sort of gets you this somewhat moldy, mossy kind of look to it. I gotta glue this guy in, and then I have piles and piles and oodles of. Gotta be careful as I move around here. Props. Trees, fallen branches, plants, mushrooms, all kinds of stuff. So today's going to be a lot of gluing. I say today, this session right now. I should actually be able to do 2 sessions today, which would be good. This has gotten another couple layers in it, but it shrinks a lot. So I think it's going to need a lot of layers, but it's looking nicely murky. I pretty much just use this. Where is it? I don't even know if I know where it is anymore, but this is glop that you drop in there. It's clear and it sets, and then I use some of my favorite. I gotta order some more of this Slimogram Dark, and I just use a little eyedropper to drop some in, and you can see it creates this like nice murk that you can see through a little bit in some spots. So as I add layers, you get this sort of neat effect going. But now this guy is thoroughly glopped in there. It's interesting because the medium that I'm using, it hugs up against other bits as it dries. Let's see if we can scooch this guy. And so maybe I'll just raise this whole thing up. Oh, that's right. I still got some bits here. Yeah, drop that. So you can see between his legs up against the plants, the medium sort of hugs up against it, sort of stretches away. So I do have to keep that in mind as I add more layers of this. It's going to take a lot of layers. There it is. Found it. My eternal mess that this diorama is creating. And strangely enough, I'm only noticing this now. My water texture is actually kind of starting to look a little bit like what's in there, which is pretty neat. So I have more planty bits that can sort of go in here, little tiny ones. But that's the water texture that I'm using. So anyway, it is time to start doing some planning and placing. And I should, in theory, be able to crazy glue this stuff down because this has been primed and it's got some paint layering to it. So I have these nice little flower things. I'm thinking these can just kind of, I don't know if I want to put them in. In's probably going to be too much. I can sort of put them around the edge. I got to be really careful with this tree that I put out in front because it goes right where this hand is. The likelihood that I knock this guy out is pretty high. Pretty darn high. So yeah, put a couple little flowers around the edge here, I think, to start. I want to make sure that I don't use everything that I've made because I have no idea how much is enough. I've got a pile of these mushrooms, and you know, the temptation to just plop every single thing in there just because you made it is pretty high, but those mushrooms and plants and stuff, they're also good for just basing material in general. That's largely why I'm doing this project, is to get better at basing, because it's a huge, huge base. And I've never made one diorama before. So anyway, let us get rolling. So many nice little plants. All right. Crazy glue out, and I may need to push some of these things in a little bit. We'll see how receptive this whole operation is to that. Being extremely mindful of this precarious tree. It needed to be there though. That's a really good foreground tree. Would be nice if I could angle this camera a little better for you, but I don't think that I can. All right. Do myself a favor and move my glue over here. We'll just start attaching stuff. I want to have, you can see from the top down, just hold this guy for a second so he stands in there. You can see I've got a few little open spaces. I've got this up here where this guy's going to go, and I should probably get this guy down promptly because he may take a little bit of finagling to do. I've got this open space here. I've got this open space there. I still need, and I got a little bit of space here. I need enough space for my actual models to sit and do their job looking pretty. But here will likely be something a little bit tall, maybe a few of these taller trees and sort of a clutch there. Then up here I'm going to do something low. So that'll probably be a lot of mushrooms. And so I'm probably going to do like 2 little clutches of tree area, 2 little clutches of mushroomy stuff. And that way we get a little bit in the foreground here. Like this tree is way out in front for a very good reason. As I'm taking a picture, sort of if you think about the camera angle sort of looking this way, this tree can be in the foreground while there can be a couple Necrons here and maybe one in the background. So I can use this for framing. And I'm going to want to have something similar but not as tall on this side. And then over here, if I've got a few tall trees, this can serve as sort of a background when I've got a couple Necrons in front of it. So the tree stuff that I do back here is probably going to be pushed back pretty far. Like it'll look, you know, bear in mind this will have walls up the side and a wall in the back. So you're always going to be looking at this. See how tight these guys are. I'm not going to scooch it again. But you're always going to be looking at this from a front angle. So I'm keeping that in mind. You want to think about depth of field and all that good stuff. And this guy, I've got to sort this out in such a way where like it'll be a little bit off-centered, which is fine, but I need a little bit of space. Probably not for one of these guys. I may end up filling in this gap that's here. I thought I was going to need it. No, I don't. But I can sort that out after this. But at the very least, Trazen can fit right next to this, which is good. And it can fit out in front of it. And he has a tiny base. Strangely enough, for a very super important character, his base is nice and tiny. So I'll probably flock the daylights out of that. So anyway, that's just me thinking out loud. Let's get this thing stuck in there. This is the day of a lot of commitments. And you can see that that foam in there is receded a little bit. Basically, I'm just gluing this thing by the edges, which with crazy glue should be enough. But if it doesn't stick, then I'm going to end up filling in this area with some liquid green stuff just to give it a little bit more space to grip. But I'm pretty sure just the edges of this should be enough, especially because I can push it. It's foamy. This is where we're committing to all kinds of stuff. But that's good. It means we're getting close. Yeah, I'm not going to finish this in time for Halloween because Halloween's over. But I hope you had a fun, safe Halloween. I certainly did. Got to take the little kiddos out. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old. Early stream, buddy. Still out of work. All right. And that does look to be sticking pretty well there. So there's a little bit of a gap around the edge of it. I'm not too worried about that. Because I'm probably going to flock the daylights out of this entire diorama. Which basically means there's going to be all kinds of grass all over the place. There'll be gravel too. So any of those little gaps should be filled in. I am happy that Mr. Bughead's on his way. Special delivery from afar. All right, you're just going to sit there like that and be super nice, little flower. I am now going to work on, it's going to go back here. I have a few of these trees that have nice flat bottoms on them. These guys that are already in there in patches of dirt is because they're actually supposed to be fallen tree bits, and I didn't want to saw the bottom off of them, so they're kind of just pushed in, but they got some dirt around them. They're stuck in there pretty nicely now. This guy, I gotta always worry about this guy out in front because my arm's right there. I'll basically just get a few little tree bits back here. Maybe some. I gotta also remember that I've got like sticky tufts of grass that I can put in. I remember the full sort of retinue of stuff. You definitely want to think about camera and angle. There we go, that'll be good. Have a little bit of a gangster lean to it. You want to think about camera angles, because this thing is going to be three-walled. Yeah, it's nice and leaned over. Maybe do another one in there. This one's got a nice broad base to it. I'm probably going to have to hold him down for a little while because he's got a crazy lean to him. Because I'm putting these way in the back as backdrop, they can be pretty close to the edge. I obviously don't want to go over the edge because I still got to put a wall up there. There's another happy, nice little tree. And it's sort of making a semicircular space there. I could do a little bit of fallen tree in there. The catch with this, and I may not do it as a fallen tree, so I don't have a lot of space. And if I do it as a fallen tree, it's taking up an amazing amount of geography. So those graves are absolutely going to get some more work on them. When I put down, I do need to plop down a bunch more of this earth texture. This first pass is mainly just to get that rise there and get the spacing. But no matter what, here's the plan to get one of these guys climbing out. As Dane pointed out, dude had extra bits from the adventure of putting together my Necrons. To do that, this guy's crawling out. Just plop his head there. I need to drop more stuff there too. So we will do that. We will do that today. But yeah, they need a little bit more work there. Also, they haven't been dry brushed at all. They haven't gotten any pigment at all. But I'll put a little bit more glop on there and sort of smooth it a little. And when I do that, I'll drop a little bits of little rocks in there and stuff. Let's see here. Oh, thank God, that thing's stuck pretty well. I don't know if this guy, I may not end up using this big guy here. Or if I do, maybe he'll stick in back there. See if I can scooch him in. Give him a little push. Yeah, he's going to be way better back there. More backdrop. And do bear in mind that all of this stuff is going to get grassed over. Not all of it, but a lot of it will get grassed over. I just got to hold that guy there for a hot minute. Or do I? Ha! Crazy glue, you are crazy. Alright, next up, I got this neat little stump with some mushrooms around it. I want this to be sort of like a mushroomy thing going on. Maybe it's better there. This is a big open space. So with this stump in the middle, I'm going to leave enough space on both sides so I can fit more of my precious Necrons in there. I can put a few additional mushrooms around this. Maybe I should corner it. I don't want to be too all up in the foreground. Yeah, we'll just do it there. Halloween was super fun. My 2-year-old's not really fond of crowds, and my neighborhood gets pretty busy. Actually had a really good time, which was very pleasing. Obviously, like as a parent, you go. So I'm gonna put some. The mausoleum is going to get mushrooms. It's also going to get some of these short plants. I have very little space around here to play, so I got to be pretty judicious with it. So it'll get some tiny mushrooms, maybe a couple little out in front, but I need to like reserve a decent chunk of that space so that I can at least try to get Trazen to sit there every once in a while. However, here, as long as I clump them up nice, this is a good opportunity for like a nice foreground with a bright pop of color. And once everything's in here, I'll obviously be touching up a lot of things with a little bit of paint. These gravestones are going to need a gray wash over the tops of them. Right. Now we're being gentle. I'm just going to sit like that, buddy. This guy's nice and tiny. Do I need to switch to tweezers? I think I do. Not that I'm very good with tweezers, but yeah, I gotta make sure I'm not sticking all this stuff to myself. Super gentle. My hand's shaking like crazy. Oh, shaky hands. Let's find one other tall guy. That guy will do. Let him stand up. There we go. Grab this green dude. I think I need to snip a little piece of him off. Is that actually connector bit? It might be. Let's give this guy a little snip. Just so he sits nice and flat. Yeah, it can be a little two-stalk thing. That's fine. Nah, he can't. He can't. Let me snip that. A little piece that looked like mushroom that absolutely was not. It was a support piece. There we go. That's better. Scooch that aside. Make sure my tweezers are nice and clean. Let's see if these guys are... Yeah, those guys are attached. All right. Crazy glue is the jam. That is attached. Nice. Hit this guy up. A little mushroom. Sure I don't get any on the tweezers. That would be unhelpful. Yoink. Yeah, you're going to be tough to place, aren't you, buddy? Just sit up. Sit up. And maybe one more. Get this nice and clumpy. Just a dab of some crazy. Oop. Then throw the mushroom across the field. Oof. Gently. There you go. Nice little bit of color. So when I take a camera shot this way, it's just like boop, little bloom of fun stuff. All right, now up here, I've got a bunch of these little grassy bits. I've got a few more mushrooms. I'll do maybe one or two mushrooms out in front. These I should be able to just hand place if I'm lucky. Thinking about the shot again, like having these mushrooms in the foreground, this raised up here, a couple in the background. I can play with that camera-wise. Have it look pretty cool. Tall boy next to a short guy. All right, little sprouts of grass. What else? What else? Let me put one more mushroom out in front of these other two. Clump these up really tight. You sit up straight, buddy. You just sit right there. Yeah, mushrooms. Mushrooms are fun. All right, I think I'm just going to leave that as a clump of three, which leads me to a couple other mushrooms that I have that are probably, I want to clump these guys up a little bit better. We'll attach this briefly to this. Get a couple of these little small guys. Super little guys. Underfoot. There's one. This guy should fit nicely next to that guy. I'm already thinking about how many things I could do better the next time I do a diorama, which is great. There's a lot of just practical stuff that you can't know till you do it. You can watch whatever videos you want, even this one, until you like get yourself in that mix. Start making your own mistakes. It can be a little weird. I like to make my own mistakes. You can watch me make my mistakes as a noob. Right, this guy's going straight down the pipe. Boop. Happy, happy mushrooms. And I still have a 2 or 3 lying around. I might save them. This guy's definitely going in. This woefully unpainted guy. I'll dab him with something a little later. Like, oh no, he is. He's green. He's intentionally green. Whew. This tweezer work. Exciting. Exciting stuff. All right. So some bushy plants. Set that guy aside. Little leafy bits. Just grab all of them out of my pile of rando stuff. after I get some of these in, I will place down a bit more of that mud and get my Necron in over there. Also bear in mind, I have all kinds of like tufts of grass that are adhesive. That stuff will still need to go in. I gotta figure out whether or not I should do that before or after I flock things. But we'll get there. I think probably I want to do it before. I would guess. We'll see. I'll probably add some before and some after and find out the hard way which way I like more. So these, kind of hold them up so you can see them. They're just various little tufts. And all I did was just give these a green wash and then dry brush them so some of the little details do pop up. These are conveniently flat bottomed. We'll just fork one of these. I think that guy's too big there. I'll put him back here. Sort of hug this tree. These guys are just to break up the ground level stuff a little bit. Those tufts that I have will do much more of it. I want a little one to go out in front of this guy. Yeah. Just place that in there and give him a little turn. Yeah. This part's just kind of wholesome fun. Just arranging plant bits. So I want to scooch a little bit in here. I think this is going to be largely how the ground looks underneath the mushroom bits. So it's a little different. I'll sprinkle a little bit of stuff in there, but it's probably just going to get pigment if I had to guess. All right. Yeah, just breaking things up a little bit. Pre-tweezer these guys. There we go. That'll make my life a little easier. There we go. Bloop. Little crazy glue. Put one right next to this grave. This is where things get like super micro and kind of neat, in my opinion. Oh, sometimes you fire your little bits all the way across your diorama. Super tiny details. Micro. Get this guy in here. Without gluing him to my finger. There we go. Everybody's tiny. Everybody is tiny. I'm probably going to need a boatload more of these little guys. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't have to lean everything on resin model-y stuff. I've got all kinds of plant material that I can use. And I should try to use as much of a variety as I can. Dang it, I can't become a member. I haven't turned that on yet. But I will. It is another feature. Still haven't gotten the store to work properly, but I have looked at the membership thing. I've just been pretty busy painting. You get what I need to do is make some pretty cool icons, so it's actually semi-worth it. I will work on it, I promise. There we go. For these little guys, I'm actually just going to dab the ground. That'll be easier. That's a huge amount of freaking stuff. I know. I will work on it just like I work on everything else, just to see how it works. Kind of like this mug. Like, let's print out some mugs. I just like to mess with every last little bit of functionality I can get my hands on with this stuff. You'd be surprised though, Dane. Someone will pull that trigger. Oh, that plant is gone forever. Boop. Just squeezed right out of it. All right. So, we've got a decent little foreground thing. We've got this back here. I think it is time to spread more crazy diorama stuff, diorama effects mud. Just scooch this out here and see if I've lost anything. There's a little head. I should probably clip the post off of the back of this because it's totally unnecessary. It's going to be sticking out of the dirt anyhow. Put him in a place I remember him. Flip the post off of this guy too. Oh yeah, this guy's going to be a pro. Boink. Alright, what I'm going to do in this pass with this dirt stuff, I'm going to grab a plastic cheapo brush. I got literally a package of these at the dollar store. These bristles are legit like plastic. They fall out on their own. These are like completely, there's like pieces of it that are just sticking out. These are absolutely beater brushes. And I highly recommend you spend very little money, but get some of them so that you just have brushes around that you can use for stuff that is not particularly cool. Tough jobs. With a brush, stuff goes on a lot more smooth than when you glop it on. So you can sort of get a bit more rounded around it. I mean, you can see it already. It's just like smoothing these things out. A lot of times I like to glop on a hefty amount just to give it some shape. And then you can go over it a second time after it dries with one of these guys. Get it nice and smooth. I think that's where I'm going to plop one dude. Yoink. Grab a big old glop. Put that down over here. Smooth it out a little bit. I need enough material there that our boy can get nice and stuck in. Of course, you always need a place to put this thing after you stand around with it. All right, which head goes in there? Yoink. He's coming out. And then I think I need to clip. I think I already did. Yeah. Money in my pocket. Right, that is good there. And then just need to cover my tweezers, pull out this errant fiber from that brush. I just need enough glop to cover his arm at the shoulder. So it looks like I'm basically like alluding to the fact that it's connected to a shoulder that doesn't exist by putting a decent glop of that stuff on. And now we have a guy who's crawling his way out, which is pretty neat. Thank you for the recommendation. Boop, it's coming out. So now I can continue to smooth these guys out a little. Might do another one of those, might not. We'll see. I'm worried that it'll look a little repetitious, but it does tell a good story, which I like. And then also with this brush, sort of dabbing around the area a little bit, gives you a little bit of context around it. Makes it look traveled. Man, this is so weird making a diorama. I hope I don't get addicted to these things. There's so much work. I can't get addicted to these. I have a game to play. Just brushing that in. If you pull it up the sides, it smooths it out nicely. As nicely as can be. Some more, and this brush, like, I don't want to say it's indestructible because it's so cheap, but like, because the bristles are plastic, I mean, this is absolute torture work for a brush. Absolute torture work. That's why I almost always only use a spatula. Then I found these guys, and it's like they're built for it. I did briefly try painting with one of these brushes, just out of like really morbid curiosity. I was like, yeah, why don't I see just how this works? And it works as poorly as you would imagine. Oop. Tree in the corner I keep worrying about. Just pulling up from the sides. This guy a little bit. Smooth things up. And symmetry is not your friend, so make sure that you're always... I don't want it to be a circle. Like in these cases, the actual like grave sites, like someone... Necrons are buried. They're buried a lot. The warriors just don't have as classy of a tomb. They're not as high on the totem to get a proper, beautiful tomb going. But all kinds of Necrons are buried. Just normally a more glorious exchange. And with this brush pretty thin, it should dry relatively quickly. But yeah, I mean these are human dug tombs, so they can have a little bit of symmetry going on, but anything natural, probably not so good. Yeah, there we go. Alright. That guy can just sit in the water now. So that's pretty cool. That guy's coming out. What else to do? Little by little, this is coming together. I'm going to take, I like this little thing. That's good. Don't know that I want to flock this guy yet, just because I have more grass coming. And then the only flocking grass that I have right now is super green. What I think we're probably going to move to do some morbid stuff. I'm going to put a few skulls in, because those are spooky, and I like spooky things. There's no lack of skull imagery. Grimdark future. So we gotta leverage that. A few of those boys off. And we got a crazy glue out, so why not? It's just leave a skull on there. That's a good spot for it. If I had a bunch of forethought before I put this guy down, I probably would have done all the stuff that goes inside of him. That's a little weird, but it's fine. I don't think I want to put a skull directly on there. Maybe I'll just put one little sneaky guy next to a tree. Or maybe I'll just glue it to my hand, you know, whatever works. This is tweezer time normally. Here, just lay that guy in there. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think officially by rolling this thing in my hands, it is entirely covered in crazy glue. Except for his eye sockets, which conveniently these fit into. But it needs more glue. All right. Drop some glue down. Boop. Make this job a little easier. Grab him by his eyes. His tweezers are super tiny ended. There we go. Just hide a little skull in there because skulls are dope. What next? What next? What next? I think we're going to put some scrubby stuff in. These little tufts come on a sheet like that. They are super fun. And add all kinds of texture all over the place. I'm going to be using them pretty darn liberally. I have multiple colors of them because that's cool. Put a little in there. And a lot of this is going to be covered in, like, you know, other grasses and gravels and stuff. That guy behind there, but most of what I'm doing is just thinking about, I'm looking at this. Everyone, why don't you just all stick from a forward angle and thinking about different camera shots that I can take from within here. And in a lot of cases, just a few little tufts of grass in certain spots. I do need to leave open space. A few little tufts of grass in open spots, like, makes a difference. They kind of blur out, but the camera shot depending on depth of field, but that's cool. And so I'm using basically these, I don't even remember what they're called. It's probably swamped tufts or badlands. I'm using these mostly out here. I'm going to use greener ones around the actual pond itself. These little spots where they might grow in. Actually, I'm going to yoink that dude. I want to be super careful around this edge here. I need to flock the daylights out of it, pardon my French. And so I should probably keep it clear, and if I want to put any of these in, I'll do it afterwards based on sort of the results of how that flocking grass sort of performs. I should be very careful with that. Up here is fine. I'll definitely add a few more of these guys in against this. And dioramas are fun. Who knew? I guess the answer to that is everybody who's been making dioramas the whole time, because that wasn't me. But it is neat. That thing's all jacked up. I'm going to set you aside, buddy. I mean, it's just fun creativity. It's a lot of work. Man, I spent a lot of time building this dumb little mausoleum thing, but crypt. And it doesn't really look good. And I'm absolutely fine with it. Like, I like it. But I have a long way to go to actually consider myself to be, like, at all talented at this. This is my first one. But I can say that the fun factor is there 150%. And now, as I sort of, build up this space behind me, this diorama can sit somewhere. I can keep, 10 or a dozen Necrons in it. Can obviously switch it up with Death Guard, because apparently the only armies that I buy are creepy ones. No surprise there. It's a fun spot. All right, so some of these greener tufts, yeah, you can see those right next to each other. These ones I can, theoretically do. Oh yeah, that's barely stuck in there. These guys are soft. Not sure what's up with that, but we can fix it later. If they don't stick well, that's fine. Find another way to stick them. Yeah, so these super green boys go next to the wonderfully murky water. We're going to dump some more in a pass. Pretty much when I finish all this stuff, these guys will get more. I'll fill in more of this. I need to do it just in several layers. The first layer I did was like, hey, don't do more than 3 millimeters of this at a time. I did that. It did not want to dry. I don't know if you can hear it behind me, but I have a fan running, very shallow one. How am I going to get in here? And now I do a tiny little glazing in there, and then leave it in front of the fan to just chill out. Look at that. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do here, but this thing is, we've definitely hit the phase that's kind of, it's coming together. It's starting to look like something. I mean, very easily, if I drop Team Money right there, maybe put him out in front. Like he's coming out of the crypt. Put him there. Still tons of work to do, but throw in some happy Necrons. Obviously, this starts coming together more when the background at all. Put 2 guys over here. Merp, merp. Merp, merp. Do something risky? I probably can. The question is the cable long enough? Put a backdrop in there, put some decent lighting in that isn't like screaming blue. I should probably change the color temperature on some of these guys. Like I'm thinking about where I can take pictures from. And so like with that tree in the foreground, angle, got, oh my God, what am I doing here? This camera actually autofocuses. So based on depth of field, and I'm not going to use a webcam to take pictures of it, based on depth of field, like pose that guy in there, like you can have this in the backdrop. Look at that. I should be able to take some fun photos. When it has a background on it, it'll look way cooler. But right now, it's just kind of the naked truth background. Sick camera shots. Yeah, you got it, buddy. Attach this guy back on here to get my ugly mug back in the shot. There we go. Hopefully that wasn't too nauseating. All right, let's straighten that guy out. camera work. Alrighty. So, I'm definitely not done putting little green tufts down. That is for sure. It's too much fun to stop doing it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that was a decent proof of concept of like why I decided to jump on this. Admittedly, choosing to jump on this a couple days before Halloween itself was maybe a questionable call, but I'm still in the spirit. As much as put this guy in there, you know, this guy was my Orktober quest, which I started late, and he's good. He's probably gonna end up in this scene at some point too. But then I was like, you know, I love October. I love Halloween. October 1st is my birthday. My wife's birthday is October 31st. And yes, I did remember. It's so convenient. I can't forget. Not that I would. I'm a conscientious person, but having your wife's birthday be on Halloween sort of gives you a little bit of a pass. Of course, if you do forget it, I guess I'll get murdered. Deservedly so. Alright. Necrons out. Spooky boys. Yeah, October. October indeed. And the neat thing about these little things that come on their own adhesive is they're squishy enough where if you pad them together, they just form a bigger shrub. Like, they are circular, but like they don't commit to that in any way, shape, or form. And so you can have them be independent tufts, or you can just sort of clump them together, and they will naturally find their way to being a proper clump. Of course, I do have to push these bad boys down a little bit so they actually stick. Yeah, around this pond is going to need more. Too much fun. Too much old man hobby fun. These tweezers, I love these tweezers. They're super sharp. Like you can legit hurt yourself with them. But I wasn't actually. But what's nice is that they're super precise, and my hands shake like crazy. But you can get in there and sort of poke at things and push in things to be like glued in better without disturbing a bunch of stuff along the way. So if you have shaky hands like I do, kind of nice. Kind of nice. All right, let's get more of these guys out of here. Alright, what can I do to mess this thing up even more? Set this stuff aside. I'm definitely not done with those little plant tufts, but I'm done with it for now. I feel like I'm not going to do a path. At least I don't think I'm going to do a path. I'm not going to do any grass, but I'm going to go in my basing bin. See what stuff I got. Oh, that decorative sand would need to be primed. What other bits you got? This, I got this, I got this, I got that. I'm sadly not adding any maggots to this treatment. But I do have this gravelly stuff that I can use. I think these are both the same, so I'll leave that out. Almost all my basing stuff is from the army painter. I have this stuff, which is kind of neat. But I think I want to wait till the very end if I'm going to add any of it. Because it like, I mean, obviously I used the brightest stuff on this guy. But it like, kind of screams. But some of that might look good in with these mushrooms. But it's a little wild. I could put some down and I guess stain it, but I'm going to save that. Save that a bit. feel like I want to use some of this. And I'm going to use it up there. I should clean this thing off here. Nope, we are not using that brush again. That thing is doomed. And I think I'm going to try to get some zoop inside there. Eventually I'm going to have to get in there and darken it up a bit. But, you know, mistakes were made. What kind of... I get another cheap brush. And I'm just going to get in there, glue it. You know what? I think I can handle this. You have a big one? Yeah. Lo and behold, another cheap brush. All right. What I'm going to do about the inside of this is I am going to gravel the daylights out of it. And then I can live with my sins. All I got to do is get glue in there relatively deep, shake some dirt in there, and be good to go. Yeah, good mushrooms, man. I'm psyched. Get a little bit of color in here. Let's go. All right, in you go. Everybody into the pool. I hope that was glue. That'll go all the way. That'll actually help this thing stick down. So, tough camera shot, but basically just brushing it all the way up and out. And I think I added way too much. I did. I'm gonna have to fix that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I'll go over this edge. Gotta get in there. Get this thing gluey. Gluey enough. I definitely suffer from often not using enough glue. Alright. Set that brush aside. I don't know how to effectively do this, but I know how to ineffectively do it. Just shake that in there. The bum I am. Shake it out a bit. Now it's stony inside. Problem solved. One thing I don't know is how people recollect all this stuff. But it sounds like a me problem, not a you problem. Whoop. All right, so excuse me, I clear my throat a lot today. I'm talking so much. Anywho, got some gravel in there. I probably, for context, I'm no longer going to just pour glue directly on the diorama because that's crazy town. Put a little bit over here on a piece of craft board. Now for context, it's all good, man. I think you're hilarious. You don't have to worry about your sense of humor. You should say whatever the heck you want. You do not offend me in the slightest, homie. Alright, so for context, I am adding a few dollops on here. And we're going to shake it down. And I can't wait till I actually have any idea what I'm doing with this stuff someday. It's all just experimentation. See what sticks. And nothing is sticking. It's my shaky hands. All right, some of it does. There we go. All right. So that tomb is now nice and filled in. Got a little bit more glue there. I should, in theory, yeah, this stuff should tap right off of here. As further context, because that's interesting. I should have thought about that. I'm not bothered by it in the slightest. It's actually pretty cool. But because this is still a little bit wet, it got just some tiny little bits of rocks on it. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. A little sip. So that's actually pretty cool. And I may wish to just do that a little bit more. That Earl Grey. You know what it is? It's that I'm streaming in the daytime, and it's not because of the sun. Any stretch. It's because I talk less at night. I'm so tired. Now I'm just like hyped up. Barely been awake for a while. Let's see if any of that sticks. Yeah, just a little bit does. That's kind of neat. I don't think it's going to stick well, though. Don't think it is. So I'm going to dab just a tiny bit to get this going a little bit better. As if it's somewhat intentional. Dab, 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 dab. That in there. Sort of dab, 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 dab. Experiment, find out how this looks. Man, I'm gonna have to pick up this entire operation. Clean all this garbage off of here. I'm consumed by the diorama. Oh, on the whole thing? So I wasn't planning on doing dirt on the whole thing, but I'm not going to leave it naked. Just scooch that and see if it works. Oh my god. Yeah, it does work. All right. So stuff everywhere. I may end up doing, in some spots, a very thin coat of this, kind of like how I did on here, so it just gets textured. But I'm planning on hitting it with a decent amount of grass too. There'll be a lot of grass in between stuff. So a lot of this naked board, which is why I just did it, you know, straight up brown. It is bare. It is 100% bare. Not 100%. It is 87% bare. I'm gonna grass a lot of it. That's gonna be the jam. So some of it will be this super thin, not piled up like that. And then plenty of it will be grass. But the grass that I have is like bright. It is bright grass. The grass that I have is what's on my Mortarian. And that is like, I may use a little of that, basically around the pond. But it's a little too bright for a spooky scene. So I've got different grass and route from Amazon. Just make sure that my family's still alive. Any of these texts from people? Nope. Okay. So I have some browner grass that I have showing up that I will apply very liberally across this thing. So yeah, that answers your question. It is absolutely bare though. This is not intended to be the texture. Oh, Mortarian? Oh, yeah, he's at least table ready. He's got a little shine on his wings. This guy. I'm not going to show you all that close because all the mistakes. I don't care about the mistakes I made. This guy is a living mistake, but he's cool. He's rad. That was tough. Very challenging. Very challenging birthday present. I think I put 16 hours into that thing and no regrets. So still haven't played with him yet though. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? I could. Yeah. I'm going to fill in some of this now that I think about it. Get this brush clean. My super workhorse. Get this guy. Yeah, I'll dunk him in there. My brush water is absolutely disgusting right now because it's not just paint and water. It's got glue and all these basic material things in there. Let's just dry this guy off a bit. I am going to paint in some dirt now because I am here. I can do it. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that gap, but I don't have to figure it out right now. That's all good, Dane. All good. Yeah, he's pretty rad. I'm very pleased with him. He was scary the whole time to paint, but super fun and exciting too. So this glop painted in, and it may take more than one pass, is going to cover up all the seams between these pieces of XPS foam. And I did struggle a bit cutting this stuff up. The Army Painter wire thing, yeah, and of course I already did that stuff, so some of it's going to get covered, that's fine. The wire cutter from Army Painter was wasn't exactly precise. I think it would be good if I had some experience and was specifically doing it for like modular dungeon mastery stuff. I think it would have been great for that. For this, I was too new and was trying to build perhaps a slightly over-aggressive three-dimensional thing. Yeah, I'm just going to paint over that. Yeah, it's tough luck. You'll get hit with stone again, and it'll just go right on this stuff. Some of this is going to get grass up here, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to do this thing, because I think I'm just going to cut some pieces in and fill that in completely. Anyway, I got a better cutter for the next time, because this is not going to be my only diorama. Of that I am certain. So I'm just painting this stuff down, and it can go all the way till thinned out. In fact, it should. I don't want it to be square, because symmetry is not your friend. I don't want it to look brushy. And what this will get, it'll get a wash, so it's a little bit darker. All of this dirt stuff will get a wash. But for now, this just allows me to smooth out, oh yeah, brownie mix. Smooth out the imperfections and maybe get a huge glop of it on my tree. Yeah, sorry about that tree. This will take more than one pass, but that's cool. Get this thing at least starting to look a little bit more hill-like, because it absolutely looks like styrofoam right now. Nice thin brushing of it. At the very least, like, it just adds crazy texture. I don't know. Should I just paint the whole bottom of this thing? Certainly does add a crap ton of texture to it. Even just thin. I don't know. I'd do it in the second pass. Oh my god, I murdered that plant. Yeah, I think I just learned a very critical lesson. Be like, you know what? Do this step before you do everything else. But I wasn't planning on hitting the whole thing with it, so I think what's going to happen is it's mainly going to be this area here. It's pretty dirty. And the rest I'll just put flocking grass on. Good scoop. A good scoop. Get this more mound-like. Like this part, this hill I knew I was going to be doing some aggressive schlop work on. Oh man, this brush, buddy, you're struggling. Struggling along with the wielder. Use my tool. Yeah, dang, there was a lot of late nights on Mortarion. I just had to kind of do it when I could find a moment. And obviously my late nights like creep into your early mornings. Yeah, it's I know I'm just like entirely defying what you said, but it's I'm not too worried about it because this is going to get grass all over it. Um, the main thing is I don't want that part there. Like I don't want it to be purely symmetrical. I'm just gonna deviate out in a couple little spots like that. I'll do the same over here. Symmetry is not my friend. All right, so, oh my God, brush, you poor guy. Things I put you through. Suffering. And this may actually destroy this brush. I don't think it will, but it could. The thing is, when you get a bunch of material down near the base, that's what splays out the bristles. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I should have done none of this work up here until I had covered the whole thing over as my life lesson for today's session. Um, but I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna at the very least cut this, maybe fill it in. I think I need to grab a piece of XPS, go there and go there. I think I have to. It just looks weird. Or I need to cut it. So I got to do that part anyway. So if that's the case, then I mean, I'm in for a penny at this point, so I'm in for a pound. At that point, maybe I just live with it. No, it's like super hard angle. I'm gonna have to fill this thing in. I am gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna fill that block in though. And then I'll paint. I'll dirty up some of it, but it's definitely gonna get some grass up on the hill. For it to be nice and broken up on the edge of it, that's cool. On top of here, that'll all get filled in. The only issue I see is that this notch here, I didn't know if I wanted to shave it down or not. It's just too tiny. Originally, this was 3 pieces, and I had to switch down to 2 because it was just too tall and wouldn't fit that thing. There's a little bit of a repercussion there. But it's cool. All right, so I'm going to let that dry. I do have some fiddly bits of cork and stuff, which will eventually be very rock-like. I'm going to clunk a couple of these guys in here. A few spots. I'll paint him potentially later. But I'm swiftly reaching the point where I should really let stuff dry. Because I now have wet things. Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm pretty sure that once this gets all flocked up, uh, it'll be absolutely fine. There's always a middle phase, I find, at least with models, and it's absolutely true here now, of like you've done enough so that like it's starting to look cool, but you haven't done so much that it legit looks cool. You hit this like middle phase of like right now, like a lot of things here are looking very cool, but this pile of lightly colored brownie mix, not exactly helping the whole process out. All right, so these will be rocks. I'll probably hit these with just a gray wash. Yeah. Once again, we're just breaking up this monotonous ground. You stuck in there, buddy? Yeah, you are. The super glue holds. A little bit there. Yeah, you're a good rock. Good job. I'll hit one back there. Actually, this guy can go in here too. If you think this part's weird, I gotta paint a whole background for it. Put the dirt and grass on the hill before it dries, trust you. I can't because I don't have the grass. But before this dries, this is gonna need a second coat. It's a little tough to see here, but like that is mostly cement work. It's going to get a much thinner coat again that I can utilize. But this one is literally just to like patch the cracks in as much as possible and then smooth it out there. I sit over here. Boop. Stick? I don't know if these guys are going to stick at all. Yeah, they stick. Crazy glue is real. Yeah, it could absolutely, it might work with just dirt. It might. So, I mean, the other part of this equation is that dirt's going to get treatment. Like, going to get dry brushed, it's going to get a bit of wash. This crypt was a very different looking operation earlier. And it's decent now, but that's because it got washed and it got dry brushed. I have also in my arsenal like tons of pigments. That's burnt umber. That's going to get dusted down in certain spots to sort of break it up. As well. So there are more tools to be wielded. But it is getting to that point where like it kind of looks like it's coming together. But not just yet. Still more to do. Anywho, I am going to take a break and let things dry. I've naturally felt as I've moved my hands around that like, yeah, I'm getting wet bits on my hands. I'm bumping into trees. I'm gonna let this thing dry for a bit, but hopefully I'll be back. At the very least, I should be back tonight, and that'll be cool. I might be able to get back on this afternoon. Actually, my wife's going to pick up a kitten, another kitty. Anywho, thanks a bunch. We continue to make progress. Hopefully, we're only a few sessions away from being done, I think. But some of it's going to be some pretty big, broad sweeping stuff. My grass shows up. I think I'm streaming tonight. I'm nearly certain I'm streaming tonight. I have nothing in the way. So, is there a truck outside? Oh, that might be my grass. Anyway, I got to collect my stuff, but I will definitely be on tonight, and we'll get a bunch of this ground cover done, and then we'll start doing more details. And I still got to paint some stuff that's on here. So anyway, thanks a bunch. I hope you had a good time, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.